let's talk about the Tottenham-Liverpool game yesterday at Anfield. Let's start with our match review. And, you know, I got to the stadium yesterday and the Liverpool fans were lining the streets. There was flares everywhere. It was a massive game for them in terms of their title challenge and a massive game for us in terms of our top four challenge. And I felt like there was a sense of inevitability yesterday in terms of Liverpool, the way the fans were, the way the stadium was, the atmosphere was incredible, put on by the Liverpool fans yesterday. But Tottenham came to spoil the party, and that's exactly what we did yesterday. I thought Antonio Conte, the way he set us up yesterday, the way the players performed in that setup as well, was just unbelievable. Ben Davies put in an absolutely stellar display. Emerson Royal, absolutely stellar display. Both of their team's displays of the season, in my opinion. But the way we defended and dug deep as a team, I was really proud of us yesterday. And I thought Liverpool actually threw the kitchen sink at us yesterday for the most part of the game. We were suffocated for a lot of it. And we stood up to the challenge, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't think Liverpool played badly yesterday. A few obviously crossed in the wide areas, their quality could have been a bit better. But I actually think Liverpool really pressed us well, effectively. They penned us in for a lot of the time, and we stood up to the pressure and we held firm. I think you got to give credit to a lot of the unsung heroes, Emerson, Davies, who were absolutely imperious at the back, alongside the players who usually play well, like Dyer and Romero, like players who don't get enough credit. Definitely deserved a lot of credit yesterday for the way that we stood up to Liverpool and made sure that, you know, they barely had a clear-cut chance. The goal they scored was a lucky deflection from 25 yards. The most work Lloris had to do was when Sessegnon nearly headed into his own net. So I think you got to, you know, most teams can't defend like that against Liverpool and hold strong as much as we did. And I think the game, you know, talking about the game beforehand, I think it played out pretty much as expected. Very similar to how we played against Man City and how we played, maybe not how we played against Liverpool early in the season, but definitely reminiscent of the City game in terms of making sure we clog up the central areas, making sure we're sitting very, very deep, clog up the penalty area, force them out wide, make them put crosses in, be strong when they do put crosses in, and when we do get chances to play our way out the back, make sure we're a threat at all, and not because if you don't make sure you're a threat on the ball, it's very easy for Liverpool to just pile even more men forward, and then you're not going to be able to hurt them going the other way. But we were, even though we weren't maybe as much as a threat as we were earlier in the season when we played them. You know, Højbjerg hit the post, Son had a few counter attacks. We had a few moments to hurt Liverpool even before we scored, and then we did get the goal. Really good team goal again, very reminiscent of team goals we scored against Man City. So anyone said it was just counter-attacks, I think are missing the whole point of how Conte likes to play. I think the goal we scored was very, very good playing out the back goal, and I think we were desperately unlucky not to hold strong. But the Liverpool pressure is very, very intense, and unfortunately they got a bit of luck, and you make your own luck in those situations.
And it was frightening in the first half because every time we countered Liverpool, they countered us straight back, and Liverpool were on it yesterday. The fans were on it. I mean, they suffocated us. We suffered for a large parts of those games yesterday, and that's why I was so proud, because not many teams will go to Anfield and come under such pressure like we did and come away with a point.
I completely agree.
Many teams at all. And for a team like Spurs, you know, we've had our big issues this season. We haven't lost to either Man City or Liverpool, which is actually mind-boggling. The only team in the league that have not done so. And I was, like I keep saying, I was just so proud. I mean, let's talk about Emerson Royal's display, because defensively he was unbelievable. Nothing got past him the whole day. And going forward, where everyone's had their reservations about him, I mean, he stood up to the challenge that way as well. I mean, the balls he was playing over the top to the switches of play, I mean, pinpoint every single time. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing with him yesterday.
Yeah, his passing was, for once, completely on point. And I thought his confidence-wise, he was much more willing to take people on, much more willing to get into the final third and actually provide a bit of quality as well. It was really surprising seeing Emerson step up like that, like he did. I thought he played exceptionally well, and you got to give it to him. He's come under a lot of criticism but he stood up to the task. And I thought Diaz had a difficult day, despite the fact he was probably Liverpool's brightest attacker. He definitely had to cut inside to get the most joy. On the outside, Emerson was doing very, very well on that side. Defensively, I thought he was fantastic, and I thought on the ball as well, he was showing a lot more confidence when, watching him switch play and watching him actually get it to someone.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I thought he was brilliant. You got to give him massive, massive credit. And maybe this is his Doherty moment where maybe we're finally seeing the real Emerson Royal, which is potentially exciting, but we'll have to wait and see. He has to do it from now to the end of the season. But maybe that was maybe a inkling of what he can do in a Tottenham shirt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By far his best display in a Spurs shirt, by far. On the other side, Sessegnon, I thought he struggled maybe in the opening stage of the game in the first half, but credit to him for keep plugging away. He got his assist, and I felt for the most part he did deal with Salah really well, and obviously took a sacrifice for the team in that yellow card, which was a really good foul and a really important foul at that time, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah, because they were on the breakaway. I actually thought he again had a solid game. I thought defensively, again, he dealt with Salah really, really effectively, and Salah for the second game in a row now up against Sessegnon really struggled to deal with him. And Sessegnon was like a bit like a rash that Salah couldn't shake off. And I think he went forward. Maybe not as much as we'd like, but he took on Alexander-Arnold a few times. He wasn't able to get beyond him too many times, or won a few corners, but when it mattered, he made the right pass at the right time. And a lot of players would have shot or maybe lost their composure, like Reguilon. But he didn't. He put the ball across the face to go on a plate for Sonny, and we got the goal. And he did very well to get in that position as well when he did, and well played. And I think it's a second. He seems to thrive when we play the good teams, because he's putting a good performance now against City and then two games against Liverpool. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's a bit similar with Emerson, because he had a good display against Man City as well when we beat them 3-2.
Maybe these players thrive a bit more when they got a bit more space in front of them.
Yeah, I guess so. That's probably definitely true there, 100%. A few other players that I want to mention, I think Kulusevski, I think he did really well, kind of picking the ball up kind of deep and carrying the ball and relieving us of pressure for a lot of the times. And I felt that he was doing really well in taking on his man, but I think, the decision making, maybe not the decision making, but maybe the quality in his decisions made him found wanting a little bit yesterday. Yeah,
I think he was really good at helping us relieve the pressure, especially in the first half. A few times we were able to knock the ball in his direction, and he would make it stick and wriggle out of a few situations, and he beat Robertson a few times, but wasn't able to create much. When you ask him to maybe get the ball over the top to Sonny or something like that, wasn't able to hurt Liverpool in that sense. But I definitely felt like they struggled to deal with him a bit when they were pressing him. Like, he was the toughest player for them to press, Kulusevski, and that was really impressive. So I think he did well overall, but didn't really have the impact in the final third, I would say.
Yeah, but it was hard. It was hard for our attackers yesterday because,
so much defending to do.
It was very few and far between when we could get into the Liverpool box and high up the pitch. But it was all about the defence and Højbjerg and the midfield yesterday. I mean, they were just imperious. I mean, every single one of them stood up for the challenge yesterday. We defended as a unit. Cuti Romero was unbelievable. I was getting worried in the first half when we kept trying to play out the back and we kept losing the ball and putting ourselves under pressure. But every time we put ourselves under pressure, we rose up to the challenge, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Eric Dyer aerially was absolutely a monster. And like I said, Romero, I mean, the challenges he was putting in was just insane. It was just absolutely insane. And against this Liverpool team, which you got to say is probably the best team in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that back three, Davis, Dyer, Romero, were unbelievable. They were the main reason we got a point yesterday. I thought Davis, some of the blocks he was making was absolutely heroic. I thought it was exceptional stuff from Ben Davis. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Dyer was like a tower at the back there, heading every ball away. And Romero was like the bulldog, just chasing after people, doing diving headers in the box, like doing that early foul on Henderson to set the tone. I thought he was brilliant as well, Romero. So the back three showed what they're all about, and they have been fairly consistent, even under Conte, even in games that we haven't won and haven't played well. I thought they've usually been pretty strong, even in those games. So. look, it was a good point. Unfortunately, we didn't get the win with the Højbjerg chance right at the end, where he could have either gone for goal or found Harry Kane across the face of goal. Did neither. Maybe caught in two minds and ended up letting the chance go. But Tottenham definitely having the better chances in the day, and might be a bit annoyed that we couldn't have gone to Anfield and got the win. And it seems to be a curse, as we've said before, just missing really gilt-edged chances at Anfield. Seems to happen every year in very, very tight games. But in terms of unfortunately, as much as it was a good point in terms of the top four race, doesn't really help us too much at the end of the day. Look, Arsenal are currently winning 2-0, so as things stand, we're going into the North London derby 4 points behind. If we really wanted to be favourites for top four or take the top four race by the scruff of the neck, we had to win yesterday, and we weren't able to do that. So it is most definitely advantage Arsenal. If all they need now is a draw in the North London derby, and they've got one hand on that fourth spot. That's the reality of the situation now. So as much as it was a good point in terms of result and in terms of performance, was it a good point in terms of our league position? No. But, you don't look back on the end of the season and say, we're not getting top four because we drew at Anfield. That's for sure.
No, but, it's the situation that we're in. And I left the stadium feeling a bit dejected yesterday. As much as I was proud of the team, of the way they fought, the way they stood up to the challenge that Liverpool posed to us, I felt that we could have won that game, and that chance at the end really did it for me. I mean, that was the key chance, wasn't it? Right at the end, if we would have scored that's 3 points. And any other year and any other stage of the season, even this year, if you leave Anfield with a point, you're happy with that. But at this stage of the season, with the way we played and the chance that we had in the end, I thought it was a massive missed opportunity yesterday.
I keep saying it, this point would actually be an amazing point if we would have drawn against Brighton. Because if right now the situation would be, we would be going to the North London derby 3 points behind. And that would be a good situation to be in, because if we win, we go above them. As things stand, that's not the case. We're 4 points behind, and we're hoping we have to beat them now, and they have to drop points in one of against Newcastle or Everton, which is not impossible, but it's unlikely with either the luck they're getting at the moment or the quality of team they are. They're more than likely to be able to win those two games. So it's not a good situation to be in, and that's the unfortunate thing. So I can't be too unbelievably over the moon about a point at Anfield of the situation, but it shows what we're able to achieve under Antonio Conte, and it shows the level he's brought this team on, what he's able to bring out of this squad, even though it's a flawed squad. And I think he's done exceptionally well, and you've got to give him all the credit in the world for us being able to put in displays like that, because earlier this season it wouldn't have been possible to do that. And fair play to him. He's got us in big games. He's been able to get us now. Maybe where that was our biggest problem, especially under Pochettino going away to big sides, we very more often than not rolled over, maybe a bit naive. Now we're able to get results in these kind of grounds. We've proven
4 points
it
at Anfield and City and the Etihad.
Yeah, we've proven it. We've proven it over the 4 games. We can get results in these big games. So we just need to perfect getting more consistent results against teams who sit back and things like that, and teams who have a plan for us. And then we're going to be challenging. But it's all, I think, obviously, even if we don't get top 4, which is looking more unlikely as the game weeks go, I'm hoping Conte will stay and believe in the project. And I'm starting to believe he still will, to be honest, based on what he's saying and everything, and based on potentially the backing he'll get, whether we get Champions League or not. But it's still so imperative that we somehow get into that top 4 if we really want to accelerate the project as far as possible.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is looking a bit unlikely at the moment, with teams just rolling over Arsenal week in, week out. But finally, just to end off the match review, Klopp was talking in his post-match press conference yesterday, bemoaning Spurs' setup and the way we play our football and stuff like that. I mean, he seemed very salty yesterday, didn't he? I mean, what did you make out of his comments?
I thought it was really salty. I don't know why he's crying at the fact that we're not being naive, like May says, for example, Man United, when they came to Anfield, just going all out attack and being easy to play against and open up. No, we know what Liverpool's strengths are. We know how hard they are to play against. We know how intense their pressing is, and we got to play to our strengths, and we got to do what we got to do to try our best to get a point in it. And I think we got it tactically spot on. And he says, look, his team, he can't set up his team like that and whatnot. And look, that's fair enough. Each coach has their own way of playing football and their own way of setting up their team, and just because Klopp sets up his way like that doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just his way, and it's got him a lot of success. Conte's way's got him a lot of success, and teams set up their teams in completely different ways. And I think to suggest there's like, I don't know, I didn't outright say it, but he kind of suggesting here there's a right way and a wrong way, and he can never do what we did in any game. And look, in Klopp's early years at Liverpool, he would have gone to teams like we did yesterday, and he would have been naive and got opened up and lost quite a few games. Obviously, it took refinement, and they're now in the situation where they're playing perfect football. But we didn't have that luxury, you know. Conte's still just over 6 months into his job, so he's got to do what he's got to do to try and his best to get the result, and I think he did it perfectly. I think, and we were a threat. We made the better chances, let's be honest, and it's on Liverpool to try and break us down and try and stop our counters, and they weren't able to do that as effectively as we were. So I think you just need to stop crying and get used to the fact that teams are going to try and stop them playing because they're so good at it. What can we do?
Yeah. No, absolutely. But look, it did finish 1-1 yesterday. I was definitely proud of the team, but I did walk away from the stadium feeling it was a bit of a missed opportunity, and I felt we could have got 3 points, but ultimately 1-1 and a draw was probably a fair result. So that is our match review of the game at Anfield yesterday, 1-1.